The title of this article should just be "The Bulls." It's over.
Well, this is like the release of the port for like the January 6th commission. Guess what we found out? Oh, you don't say. Really? Okay. Well, thanks for all that. That's the equivalent here. Like the obvious is,
but
is
at
what
least
we're seeing.
But they're aware of it and they've been working on it. Like the multiple team meetings. They're like, hey, we suck. Let's suck less.
Winners
let's talk
win,
about
losers
it.
meet.
Yeah,
These guys are meeting a lot.
But here's the problem. Nothing about that. Nothing about who has the ball where and who and it's your turn and my turn has anything to do with trying on defense. That is so that's all. It's all fine and good that they're trying to work out their differences. As far as defense goes, it doesn't excuse any of it. It doesn't explain any of it. If you don't want to play defense, you're just a bitch.
I'm
sorry.
I will disagree to this degree on it, Dan. Where I do think it has an effect on defense is you have two guys, one of them or both of them are probably pouting throughout games.
Yes.
Because the other one took a shot. As they're
it's classic, man. It's like and they're backing up grumpy. And they've not been willing badass defenders their whole freaking lives anyway.
And not to mention, each one is so busy after every shot looking at the ref and lobbying for fouls and then shrugging their shoulders and rolling their eyes or lying on their ass trying to get a call. Maybe that's the reason that guy's 6 feet down the floor ahead of you.
Think about the great duos in NBA history. I'm sorry, Danny. The great wing duos. Klay Thompson is a phenomenal defender and a willing two-way player. Scottie Pippen was a phenomenal defender and a willing two-way player. Jaylen Brown in Boston is a phenomenal defender and a willing two-way player. Somebody's got to be willing to do that, or else you look like this.
Yeah, it's tough when your best players aren't good defensive players, for sure. So I declared Friday night the low point of the season. And then that Timberwolves game happened. But I was there, and I was invited by someone who had pretty good seats. We were probably, 12, 15, row M behind the basket. So, tough on the far end of the court, but, you could definitely hear it when it was on your end of the court. You could hear the communication. And it's the Knicks. They're, having a decent season, and it's a Tibbs team.
They're in a good moment since the youth movement. They've made a little shot.
You hear a lot of Tibbs, too, of those seats.
You hear a lot of Tibbs, and you hear a lot of his team. You guys remember? We all remember. Get that, Joe. The Tibbs teams talk. They talk.
Chatter.
A lot of chatter.
Rotate. Whatever.
The Bulls were silent when they played defense. It was so noticeable when it was the Bulls' offensive basket and the Knicks' offensive basket. And the Knicks aren't a great defensive team. They're merely a Tibbs defensive team.
Caruso talks.
Right, and that was the next thing I was going to say. It's Caruso and everybody else. Caruso runs hard and chases people and, collides into screens. Basketball is a physical game. It's not a contact sport, but it's a physical game. Man, Jalen Brunson was able to get wherever he wanted on the court at all times, completely unimpeded for forever. And then in the Timberwolves game,
it's even worse.
Same thing with Russell and Edwards.
And
Wright.
Nathan Knight.
They were just whatever his name is.
Just
Wright.
Jeremiah Wright.
And Jeremiah Wright.
Short corner at the rim.
Wright went wherever he wanted to go.
And Jeremiah Johnson? Is that the 12-year-old?
Yeah.
46 years old.
Yeah. It was interesting to one team is talking to each other and running and colliding on defense, and the other is the Bulls.
Yeah, I'd say basketball is a contact sport. It's not a collision sport.
Fair enough.
But
It's a physical game.
You got to be willing to get out there and actually take on a screen.
If I want to get to this spot, I need to go through a body on some level to get to that spot. You got to work for it. The Bulls were like, "Oh, you'd like to be at this spot?" I guess.
And team defense is about unity and communication and working as one, and you can see that.
They were so quiet, man.
The quickness with which the vibes have decayed we're
so far beyond that.
Daunting. No, but seriously.
Yeah. Well, he has to get his vibes point out. Okay, it doesn't matter if it decayed 6 months ago. He's got
I know.
Yeah, vibe check. Exactly.
But seriously, it's a year. It's a freaking year, man. Remember, the preseason vibes were so good last year, and then we're like, look at all these guys with something to prove. That was a year ago.
Spiegs. It's been 8 months since because think about it. Even they win that game against Milwaukee, and you're like, hey, maybe. And now here, what's happened since then?
Pathetic.
What happened since then? Where's Lonzo? Oh, he went. They needed to go back into his knee and find out what's going on. Wait a minute, you gave Zach $215 million?
Yeah, they paid a guy who that whole team really knew. It's not probably a guy you want to pay. I don't think you really want to pay this guy. And then, we have to pay this guy. Okay, well, then that means we're just us? Ooh, that sucks. We're not very good. All we are is us? This
Wednesdays
is not going to work.
on NBC, we're just us.
And we're not good. So let's go ahead and
Ready, break.
Yeah. We're just us and we're not good.
On
Break.
3. Bulls on 3.
That's what the vibes are. That's where the vibes stand.
So they did all of it for a 46-win team, right?
I think that they did it thinking, well, there's...
Well, they know they want it to be more, but I'm saying, if it's over, if they're trading DeMar and Zach's pouting and they're not going to re-up with Vooch.
And Caruso, right? Aren't you trading him?
If you can't, yeah, and he's got value.
It's supposed to be Lonzo's team, man.
But it's...
Yeah, I know, but I think that he's the one they signed as soon as the moment happened. He's the one they cheated. What's it called? They tampered. They tampered to give him the team. They tampered to say, you come run this team. And then DeMar came after that. And there's nobody to run it. So now it's DeMar and Zach.
Yeah. That's a quick burst of relevance. I mean, Wendell Carter's gone. This first-round pick's gone. You're going to trade these assets. Oh. Lonzo might not ever come back, and Patrick Williams might not ever be a starting caliber two-way player. And it's going to all have been for one 46-win season.
And does AK get to build another team then?
Yeah.
Danny,
they gave the last guy 18 years. They're going to give this guy. they're going to give this guy 6.
But he lived in Reinsdorf's vacation house.
He did. Danny, you and I both like looking at some of the bigger picture stuff when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you make of if we go back a week. It's there's Woj on the TV talking about the Bulls. Now here's Shams writing about the Bulls' dysfunction. Where do you think that puts us when the two preeminent NBA people are like, you know what? This is real bad. What's going on here?
It's over, man. I wasn't even joking. I think it means
game over, man.
I think it's just over.
DeMar is a Laker. Right?
I think it's just they're gonna sell it off for parts. They're doing the desperate team thing. They're leaking we know this is. The media requested to talk to management. They said no.
Multiple times.
Yeah, and they said no. And I know that this makes me a bad media member, but I get why they said no. Because what the hell are you going to say if you're trying to trade all of these guys?
Right, but then so the diggers went digging, and here we go.
The diggers go digging. And so, okay, you wanted something on the record. We'll throw you a bone and give you something not for attribution. We know this is bad. We're working on it. We're meeting. We're trying to bring these guys together. We'll throw you a bone towards we know there's dysfunction.
Quote me.
Yeah.
But you can say that league sources
know
anonymously
that DeMar and Zach are not on the same page, and there have been multiple
and we
team
know
meetings.
it, and we're doing everything we can
do.
So
this is sourced material. This is good reporting by Shams and Darnell, but I think it's a direct response to management not being willing to go on the record. They're probably funneling some stuff not for attribution, and now it's
over.
It's over. It's just a matter of time, and they won't say anything publicly because they don't want to depreciate their assets.
It's so sad.
Yeah, but that's what it is. If you're playing that big picture media game,
it's true.
That's what it means.
I think you're on it.
Yeah, it is too. Casey Johnson yesterday wrote
Reporters
about.
hate when we guess their sources, but that's kind of how this thing works.
Casey wrote about.
I guess Mark Eversley.
Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't benefit Zach, who's actually he's the only one quoted on the record in this piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This one's not hard to put together.
Casey referenced Casey Johnson referenced Joe Keem's rookie year when they tried to win and they realized they sucked. and then they fired Skiles on Christmas, and they
Christmas
tanked.
is coming.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and they
5
tanked.
days.
They tanked, and they got 1.7% and got lucky with Derrick Rose. So
Luck is not a plan.
But they hadn't just extended Skiles.
they had not just extended Skiles, and the lottery was still a thing, and they didn't have a pick that was top 4 protected.
And they kind of thought it was Skiles' fault.
Yes,
too.
yeah, true. But anyway, making the pivot to tank though, because they it is obviously something that we all think they're going to consider. But the fact that the pick is top 4 protected means they could tank and have it go well and still not have a pick.
And Orlando says, thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you for the 5th overall pick in the draft.
Thank you for your tank.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh.
So that's how screwed they
Orlando
are right now.
already has Paolo Banchero, who is knocking on the door of a top 25 NBA player right now today.
Correct. And Franz
Wagner.
I always mispronounce the name because it's spelled differently, but he's awesome. He was just on Kevin Clark's Slow News Day video series.
Yeah.
He's a big Magic fan.
And Wagner they got via the
they
Boots
got
trade.
with the trade that they gave. Yeah.
And Wendell's good.
And Wendell's good. Wagner's awesome.
Markkanen is good.
Banchero looks like a
better
stud.
than good.
Markkanen's better
Yeah.
than good. AK looks real bad all of a sudden.
What do you think? What do you make of this line in the story? Because it's many graphs into it. In the 3rd season of Billy Donovan's tenure, there's also been increased skepticism within the locker room about the head coach and the coaching staff.
That's Zach off the record.
That's what I'm asking.
That's what that feels like.
That's what it feels like.
I
to
mean,
me.
he did
I'll
it.
give you your on-the-record quotes, but this isn't just on us.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
they
I
just
mean,
extended Billy Donovan.
Let's
so-
be real though. He did that publicly. He did that on the record when he got benched.
When he got benched.
Yeah.
And subsequent nights after that.
And then again, when he said, when asked about the change of the starting lineup with Javante and Io,
Right.
and he said, that's just his opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
think about it, because Billy's been hammering them game after game after game. Like, we're not competing. Like, we don't seem to have.
What's the word?
We don't seem to have a competitive spirit.
He's like, I could change defenses, and
Right.
it won't matter if we don't run.
That's what I said earlier. They turned him into Boylan.
Yeah.
He's sitting up there like, I can go zone.
He's
You wanna go
calling
zone? I
out.
can go zone.
He's calling out
You
their
know?
character and effort after every game at this point.
Deservedly so.
Absolutely, but so they're going to shoot back.
I guess they're shooting back. Yeah. But NBA, I haven't spent a ton of time in NBA locker rooms, but some, including since I've been in Chicago, and like when Boylan was here, it'd be fun. It'd be
Mostly the Golden State locker room.
I was in that locker room. That was fun. Why we can't get any players on. But anyway, no. But it was funny. Like the guys would talk on the record, and then the microphones would go off, and then there would just be like open disdain for the coaching staff.
Oh yeah, just
and
unloading.
and just what was going on, like off to the side to Cowley or to Casey, and you would just
Real
see,
talk.
You just see it. And it was understood that the microphones are off, so this is off the record. But like, on background, this guy has no idea what he's doing.
It's the same in
Because
baseball.
NBA
It was like the White Sox last year.
Yeah, it's the same in baseball. There's off the record realness that happens.
Guaranteed contracts, because the most locker rooms
and daily access.
and daily access. It doesn't happen as much in football locker rooms.
No,
like
I think it's true.
you know what I mean. For a ton of reasons. But in a basketball locker room, to just like the second the microphone's going off, just all of a sudden players are cursing and being like, yeah, man, I don't know what the bleep that was tonight. I'm like, really? This is happening? This is cool.
But we replayed the Goran Dragic. That's
That's a guy who's 36.
that was
and-
huge indictment after Minnesota.
36,
Yeah.
a decorated international champion.
Yeah.
I mean that is a
professional.
a professional
Yeah.
player, and he's offended.
You should be.
His basketball sensibilities are offended.
So guys, I'm not a good enough athlete to run here, but you all are. They didn't bring me here to be the defensive stopper, and yeah, he's got to be appalled
And
by the
play
entire thing.
for each other.
Yes.
Care about each other.